Hello, my name is David Johnson, and for my demonstration video, I decided to do something that is both important to everybody and very simple to do. It's something that we should be doing but haven't been doing, and maybe a few of you have, but making a budget every month. Now, budgets have gotten a bad rap. A lot of people think that a budget is just something that is used to tie them down, to keep them from going out and having fun with their money, and it's not. John Maxwell was quoted as saying that a budget is simply telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. And I know I've been there, but a couple of days after payday, when you're looking at your bank balance and you've got $10 in there if you just got paid, you're wondering what just happened to my paycheck. I've been there too many times. And about 18 months ago, I found Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and that's the budget form that I use. And since then, my wife and I have been doing that. And not only have we been able to free up enough money planning out where we're going to spend our money, that we've paid off a little over $20,000 in debt in that 18 months. But also, we haven't had a money fight since then. Now, when I share this with people and I'm talking to people about things like this, it's not impressive to them that I've paid off $20,000 in 18 months. What's impressive to them is that my wife and I haven't had a money fight in 18 months. And now money fights in my house are pretty calm, but it's the simple fact of the matter that now, before the paycheck even comes into the account, we know where every dollar is going. So when we get down to that end of that pay period and we're running low on cash, we don't have to wonder, well, did you overspend? Did I overspend? Maybe you shouldn't have got that. We already had it planned out beforehand. And as long as we stick to that, everything works out. Now, again, I used the Dave Ramsey Zero Balance Budget, and you can download that off of his website, daveramsey.com, for free. And what you'll need is that budget, and then you'll need a general idea of what you spend on your bills from month to month. And I'll put a copy of the budget up for you. This is what the budget looks like. It's a 2-page budget. Now, the first thing you need to understand is that not every line is going to be filled in. As Dave Ramsey says, the only person that has enough money to fill in every line is God. So all you're going to need to fill in are the sections that you think that you're going to be using. Maybe you're 18, 19 years old and you're still living with mom and dad and you're not paying rent or you're not paying a mortgage, so you don't need to fill that line in. Maybe you don't have a car right now, so you don't need to fill in auto repair. Maybe you're not saving up for Christmas, or you don't need an emergency fund because you already have one built up. So you get the idea. You're only going to use what you need to. One quick tip that I found out is that your grocery bill is always going to be higher than what you think it is. So always over budget that one just a little bit. Now, to start out, we'll start at the very top of the page up here, and you'll put in your monthly take-home cash. Then you'll start going through each one of these columns, and you'll fill in the ones that are appropriate for you, and front and back. Now, after you've filled in all of these columns, you're going to want to add up each little subsection, and that'll go right here at the bottom of each little section there. After that, you're going to want to add up each subsection, and on the back of the page at the bottom corner, the top line is just going to be a carryover from your take-home pay that you put at the top of the front page. The second line is going to be the addition, the sum of all of the different subsections, and it should equal out to a zero balance. Now, in my case, I had a negative balance here, so I had to go back and rework some of these and decide, well, maybe I didn't need to spend $100 on kids' clothes this month. Maybe I only need to spend $50. Or maybe I didn't need to make that extra trip to go visit family, so I didn't need this much gas money this month. Or whatever the case may be, so forth and so on. And maybe you have a little bit extra at the bottom. So maybe you want to put that towards some student loans that you might have, or some credit card debt that you might have, or maybe you just want to take yourself out and treat yourself to dinner and a movie. Do whatever it is that you want to do with your money. Just make a plan for it. That is the whole purpose of a budget. Now, here is a copy of a filled out budget that my wife and I use, and this is what we do every month. We sit down before the paycheck ever comes in, and I've actually have some of mine that I've been doing it for a while. I have a general understanding of what I'm looking for each month. So I have one that's actually planned out for the rest of the year, and I modify it. I still modify it though before the month comes, because maybe I found out that this month I'm getting an extra bill, or maybe I'm thinking that this month this is going to be a little bit higher. So that's what your budget is going to look like when it's all filled out. And you'll have to forgive me for the quality. I had to scan it because I couldn't find a fillable one online. Now, the biggest thing that you want to keep in mind is if you haven't been doing a budget before, you're not going to be any good at it. Nobody picks up a guitar after never taking a lesson and is able to play every song under the sun. Maybe after a couple of weeks, you'll be able to pick out Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I've been playing my guitar off and on, not very religiously, for a little over a year now, and there's only about 2 songs that I can play. The purpose behind that I'm trying to get to is that you have to keep doing it. You're going to get better. The first budget that my wife and I sat down and did took us 3 days to get it final. And then the very next day we had to go back and change something because we forgot about something or something new came up. Now, after 18 months of doing this, my wife and I can sit down in about 5 minutes and knock a budget out. And we very rarely have to go back and change anything because we know beforehand, we think about beforehand the things that are going to be coming up, and we make sure that we have everything in line. One of the big things, is school supplies. With school just starting back up, we had to pre-plan for that, and we actually started planning for that about 6 months ago. So when it came time for my wife to go get school supplies, we weren't scrambling around trying to figure out where we're going to get this money from. We already had it set aside in a savings account. We just pulled it out of the savings account, went and got the school supplies. She was done in a couple of hours. So that's one of the benefits of having a budget. One last thing that I want to touch on is that I would highly recommend starting out with the paper version because there are going to be so many changes, and you're still trying to figure out your flow because each person's budget is going to be a little bit different. My wife and I have been doing it long enough, and I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I like to have things on the computer, that I actually created a computer version of my budget that we do to pay our bills with out of our account that we have set up for the bills account, for our bills. And this is a screenshot of what one of my budgets actually looked like. And again, I have what each section is or where it's coming from. I have the subtotals together, the total up at the top that tells you how much money is coming in, how much is going out, and I want to make sure that it balances out to zero every month. So again, this is something that you can work for down towards the future if you're somebody who would prefer to have it on the computer. I would highly recommend that you start out with the paper and commit to doing it for at least 3 months. It took us 3 or 4 months before we had a real good grasp on it and we could knock it out in about 10 or 15 minutes. The first 3 were kind of rough, but we made it through. We got better. We learned, just like everybody does. You don't start driving as a race car driver day one. You have to gradually work your way up, and it's going to be the same thing with a budget. So that is my quick down and dirty on filling out a budget. Hope you learned something.